Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling the great Irish debate, surviving versus actually getting ahead on a single income. Let's jump straight into the data.
Right, let's dive in. We all know the old expectation. Sure, you get a good job, work hard, and that one income supports a grand life for the family. But look at what actually happens to the modern Irish monthly wage today. It gets eaten up and fast. The rent or the mortgage, the tax man, the energy bills, and the weekly shop, they all take massive cuts before you even have a chance to breathe. And what you're left with, it's a razor-thin sliver. We call that the margin.
Section 1. The one-income squeeze and the disappearing margin.
To really understand this squeeze, we need to look back over the last decade. Back in 2014, things were relatively steady, right? Costs were manageable. But by 2019, those rising rent and energy prices were really starting to bite. And now, in 2024, it is an absolute inflation squeeze. If your wage has grown slowly, but the cost of living has skyrocketed, well, you're effectively running on a treadmill just to stand still. You might technically be earning a bit more on paper, but you don't feel a single bit better off in your pocket.
And the reality of where that money is going is pretty stark. We aren't talking about luxury holidays or fancy coffees here. It's the absolute bare essentials that are leaving families with nothing to put money by for the future. We're talking housing, especially if you are anywhere near an urban area, heating the house, the groceries, transport, and the absolute racket of insurance. The pressure is literally coming from all sides.
So here is the crucial point. For many people, especially families in our cities desperately trying to get a foot on the property ladder, the leftover margin for actual financial security is basically zero. It's just a big, stark zero. There is quite literally nothing left at the end of the month to save, to invest, or to build up any sort of a financial buffer.
Section 2. The case for more, and why the single income falls short. You see, even with moderate inflation, standard price hikes are constantly eating away at your purchasing power. You are effectively moving backwards on one income. The main argument here is that you absolutely need a second income, or maybe a side hustle, not to live a life of luxury, but just to act as a buffer. You need that financial breathing room for when the car inevitably fails the NCT or the boiler packs in midwinter. You need that resilience.
Section 3. The case for structure, and why one income actually can be enough. Now this leads us to ask a pretty tough question. Are we battling the system, or are we battling our own habits? Yes, there's no denying the massive structural pressures in Ireland today. Housing, taxes, the sheer cost of services, it's intense. But is that the whole story? Or do our own financial planning and everyday lifestyle choices play just as big a role?
Take two households earning the exact same money. They can end up with completely different outcomes based purely on where they live and how they spend. Household A is right in the city center living the high-spend lifestyle, and they're just surviving month to month. But then you have Household B. They earn the exact same wage, but they live outside the major urban centers, keep their expenses strictly controlled, and they're actually saving consistently. So the issue isn't always purely the income level, it's how that income is structured and deployed.
Section 4. The real divide. What happens when income meets behavior?
We see this phenomenon happen all the time. Let's say you get a promotion at work and your income goes up. Brilliant, right? Well, if your spending habits creep right up alongside it at the exact same rate, there is absolutely zero improvement to your financial stability. Sure, you're earning more, but you are still just one bad month away from being completely broke.
So throwing a second income at bad behavioral habits won't fix a thing. It just makes the problem bigger. Think about it. If you don't know how to manage 50,000 euro, you certainly aren't going to know how to manage 100,000 either. The mistakes just get twice as expensive. A second income is a hugely powerful tool, but without financial discipline, it's pretty much useless.
Section 5. The time trade-off and the true cost of the side hustle.
Because, look, if you're already flat out working full-time, adding evening or weekend hours into the mix can trigger a terrible downward spiral. You take on the extra hours, and very quickly that leads to absolute burnout, a miserable quality of life, and diminishing returns. You might be making an extra few quid, sure, but you're too exhausted to even sit down and enjoy a Sunday roast with the family.
And it all comes down to the ultimate trade-off. Is sacrificing your highly limited free time actually worth the extra cash? Now, for someone trying to clear a specific debt, absolutely yes. But for others, trading away those precious evenings and weekends just to see a slightly bigger number in the bank, that can be a miserable existence. There's no one-size-fits-all answer here. It is a deeply personal calculation.
But we do have to recognize that for a lot of people, it's not just about the raw money. It's about the psychological security of not relying entirely on one fragile job in a very unpredictable world. Having a side hustle provides optionality. It reduces your reliance on a single employer who, let's face it, could make you redundant tomorrow. Even if one income is technically enough to get by, people feel a massive sense of relief knowing they have a backup engine in case the main one fails.
Section 6. Survival versus Progress. The Irish Reality. The hard truth we all have to face is that while one wage might keep the lights on and pay for the survival essentials, it rarely offers a path forward anymore. You can survive on one income in Ireland. You can pay the rent, buy the groceries, and get by. But getting ahead, saving for a deposit, investing, building real generational wealth, for many working families, that door is firmly shut without a second stream of revenue. This simple quote really strikes at the core of the entire debate. Merely surviving is a fundamentally different experience than progressing. Surviving is just treading water so you don't drown. Progressing is actually swimming toward the shore. And increasingly, working people in this country are deeply frustrated because they're working incredibly hard, but they're only allowed to tread water.
So, we need to reframe how we look at extra income, whether that's a partner returning to work or taking on a weekend side hustle. It's not a forced moral obligation. It is a strategic tool. It's a tool to build resilience when the margin is tight. It creates options. It reduces that suffocating pressure of living month to month, and it builds true financial flexibility.
Because assuming a single income will perfectly support you forever without a backup plan is, well, pretty risky. Just ask the German colonial empire how indefinitely assuming things will hold together worked out for them. But seriously, relying on just one source of income to fund both your survival and your progress in the modern Irish economy leaves you highly vulnerable. The system is tight, so the structure of your finances needs to be even tighter. So, take a look at your own margins this evening and ask yourself, are you just surviving, or are you actually set up to progress?